The curtain call at Madison Square Garden. Back in 1996, Madison Square Garden witnessed something that broke wrestling's unwritten rule book wide open. It wasn't a title change or a shocking debut. It was four guys hugging. Yep, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, and Diesel, better known as The Clique, decided they were bigger than kayfabe itself. On their last night together in WWE before Razor and Diesel jumped to WCW, the group closed the show by embracing in the ring. Sounds harmless, right? But here's the kicker. Michaels was a babyface, Triple H was a heel, and villains and heroes weren't supposed to acknowledge they were buddies. And in one moment, decades of tradition collapsed. The fallout was massive. Vince McMahon was furious, fans in the arena knew they'd just seen something unscripted, and the industry suddenly had to deal with the idea that storylines weren't as airtight as everyone thought. With Razor and Diesel gone and Michaels untouchable as champion, the punishment landed squarely on Triple H. Instead of winning King of the Ring that year, he was benched, and the opportunity went to Stone Cold Steve Austin, who gave us Austin 3:16. So in a strange twist, the curtain call accidentally birthed one of WWE's biggest stars ever. The Clique broke the script, got heat for it, and in the process, set the stage for the Attitude Era to explode. Not bad for a goodbye hug. Stone Cold Steve Austin walks out. By 2002, Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't just a superstar, he was the superstar. The guy who flipped off his boss, stomped mud holes in everyone, and carried WWE through the Attitude Era. But even the Texas Rattlesnake had a breaking point. And when creative threw him a script he hated, he didn't just tweak it, he walked. The plan was simple. Austin would lose to a rookie Brock Lesnar on a random episode of Raw. No build-up, no pay-per-view payoff, just Raw. For Austin, that was unthinkable. Putting over new stars was part of the game, sure, but doing it without hype or a proper storyline, that was like throwing money out the window. He felt disrespected, so instead of showing up, he went home. The walkout caused chaos backstage. WWE scrambled to rewrite shows, commentators took public shots at him on live TV, and Vince McMahon had to admit one of his top guys had gone rogue. Fans were stunned. Some thought Austin was protecting his star power, others thought he was selfish, but everyone knew this wasn't part of the script. Austin eventually returned later in 2002, but the relationship was never quite the same. The incident reminded everyone, even Vince, that sometimes the biggest rebel in wrestling wasn't just a character. Stone Cold was Stone Cold, whether the cameras were rolling or not. Matt Hardy and Edge feud, the real-life love triangle. Sometimes wrestling storylines get a little too real, and in 2005, WWE found itself with a scandal that blurred the line between fiction and reality in the ugliest way possible. Matt Hardy and Lita were a real-life couple, until Matt discovered she was having an affair with his best friend on and off screen, Edge. Yep, the rated-R superstar really lived up to his name. The fallout backstage was brutal. Hardy went public with his frustration online, airing dirty laundry at a time when WWE didn't like wrestlers breaking character outside the ring. The company's response? They fired him, but fans weren't having it. You screwed Matt, chants flooded shows, and WWE had no choice but to bring him back. And here's where it got even crazier. They turned the real-life betrayal into a storyline. Matt and Edge were booked to feud on TV, throwing real punches and dragging their actual drama into the ring. It was uncomfortable, messy, and you could tell at times the emotion wasn't scripted at all. In the end, Edge came out on top, launching his career to main event status, while Hardy's push faded. Fans were split. Some loved the realism, others thought it was exploitative. Either way, it was one of those moments where WWE didn't just break the script, they lit it on fire and danced in the ashes. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. CM Punk's Pipebomb. On June 27, 2011, CM Punk sat cross-legged at the top of the Raw ramp, grabbed a mic, and detonated what would become one of the most famous promos in wrestling history, the Pipe Bomb. Fans were expecting another run-of-the-mill segment, but what they got was Punk going completely off-script, blurring the line between reality and storyline so effectively that people still argue over how much of it was planned. Punk unleashed a tirade on WWE's Golden Boys, John Cena, and The Rock, but he didn't stop there. He went after Vince McMahon, Triple H, and even corporate sponsors, tearing into the company for holding him back while rewarding chosen ones. This wasn't your typical promo. It felt raw, bitter, and brutally honest. Viewers weren't sure if Punk had gone rogue or if WWE was letting him vent real frustrations live on TV. The fallout was massive. Punk instantly became the hottest star in the company, turning what was supposed to be a lame duck contract situation into the most talked about storyline in years. His WWE title win at Money in the Bank 2011 is still hailed as one of the greatest pay-per-view endings of all time. The Pipe Bomb didn't just break the script, it rewrote it. Punk turned reality into entertainment, and in doing so, proved that sometimes the best promos are the ones that cut a little too close to the bone. The Miz versus Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack. WWE's Talking Smack show was supposed to be a low-key, unscripted companion piece where wrestlers could cut promos and loosen up a bit. But in 2016, The Miz turned it into one of the most unforgettable off-script meltdowns in modern wrestling history. It all started when Daniel Bryan, who had been forced into early retirement due to injuries, looked The Miz straight in the eye and called him a coward for his safe wrestling style. Normally, this would have been just another playful jab. But Miz wasn't having it. He unleashed a fiery, unhinged rant about being overlooked, underappreciated, and carrying the Intercontinental title with more pride than anyone else. His face turned red, his voice cracked, and you could feel years of frustration pouring out in real time. "You call me a coward?" Miz shouted. "I wrestle every single week. I don't get injured. I don't take time off. I make this Intercontinental title the most prestigious title in WWE, and you sit there and call me a coward? You're the one who's a coward. You quit." The room went dead silent. What made it so gripping was how real it felt. Miz wasn't delivering some rehearsed monologue. He was venting about being dismissed as a second-tier guy despite giving everything to WWE. Daniel Bryan looked shocked. The host didn't know what to say, and fans at home instantly knew they were witnessing something unscripted. That promo didn't just shake up Talking Smack, it reignited Miz's career. Suddenly, people saw him in a new light. Not just a loudmouth reality star, but a passionate veteran who refused to be disrespected. WWE may not have scripted it, but Miz's outburst became the stuff of legend, proving sometimes going rogue is the best way to get noticed. The Nexus debut. On June 7, 2010, WWE Raw turned into absolute chaos. Out of nowhere, 8 rookies from the new NXT competition show stormed the ring, led by Wade Barrett, and tore the place apart. At first, fans thought this was just another invasion angle, but as the destruction escalated, it became clear a lot of what was happening wasn't in the script. The Nexus didn't just attack John Cena, they demolished everything. They ripped up the ring mats, destroyed commentary tables, and even went after beloved announcer Justin Roberts, choking him with his own tie. That last bit, definitely not in the playbook. In fact, it reportedly got Daniel Bryan fired temporarily because it crossed WWE's PG guidelines. Fans were stunned. It was unpredictable, violent, and messy in a way WWE hadn't been in years. The segment blurred the line between storyline and reality, making it feel like these rookies had genuinely hijacked the show. For a brief moment, the Nexus were the most dangerous force in wrestling. The invasion instantly made stars out of nobodies, though WWE eventually bungled the group's momentum. Still, that first night remains one of the wildest off-script feeling moments in WWE history where chaos reigned, and it felt like nobody, not even Cena, was safe. Becky Lynch's brawl with Nia Jax. Sometimes the most iconic wrestling moments come by complete accident, and Becky Lynch's rise to superstardom in 2018 is the perfect example. It all went down during a Raw SmackDown invasion angle, where Becky led her team into battle against the Raw Women's division. Everything was chaotic but scripted until it wasn't. In the middle of the fight, Nia Jax threw a punch that wasn't part of the plan. She accidentally clocked Becky square in the face, breaking her nose and giving her a concussion. Suddenly, Becky was bleeding everywhere, but instead of retreating, she stood tall in the crowd, arms spread wide, blood streaming down her face as the audience erupted. It was a visual so powerful you couldn't have written it better if you tried. Fans went crazy. What was supposed to be just another brand warfare segment instantly transformed Becky into the man. The bloody image circulated everywhere, turning her into the hottest star in WWE overnight. WWE even had to change Survivor Series plans because she wasn't medically cleared, but the accident ended up making her career. That night, Becky didn't just go off script, she became bigger than the script. A botched punch and a broken nose turned into one of the most badass moments in recent WWE history. Ronda Rousey's unscripted rant. When Ronda Rousey signed with WWE in 2018, she was already a global star from her UFC days. WWE wanted her to be a larger-than-life character, but in 2019, Ronda decided she didn't need a script to make an impact. She grabbed a mic and went completely off the rails in a way nobody expected. During her feud with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, Ronda cut promos where she blurred reality with storyline, trashing the company and even professional wrestling itself. She called the business fake, mocked fans for buying into it, and dropped lines that were way outside the PG, family-friendly framework WWE tries to keep. Some of it was clearly her real frustration spilling out, and WWE just let the cameras roll. The effect? Fans weren't sure if they were watching a heel turn, a shoot promo, or Ronda Rousey genuinely quitting on live TV. The internet exploded, heated debates flooded every corner, and suddenly Ronda was the most talked about star in wrestling. Whether people loved it or hated it, they couldn't look away. In the end, WWE leaned into it, turning her rant into fuel for WrestleMania 35's first ever women's main event. But make no mistake, those moments weren't polished or rehearsed. That was pure Ronda, raw and unfiltered, reminding everyone why going rogue can sometimes be the most captivating thing on live TV. Charlotte Flair backstage tensions. Charlotte Flair has never exactly been known for playing nice behind the curtain, and in recent years, her real-life tension with fellow stars spilled right into WWE storylines. One of the most talked about examples was her heated feud with Becky Lynch in 2021, which reportedly turned into a real shouting match backstage after their championship belt exchange segment went completely off script. Fast forward to 2024, and Charlotte found herself in the middle of another awkward dynamic, this time with rising star Tiffany Stratton. On screen, Charlotte was positioned as the veteran gatekeeper, while Tiffany was the flashy newcomer trying to make her mark. During a promo exchange with Charlotte Flair, Tiffany slipped in a little unscripted jab that turned a standard segment into headline-worthy drama. Tiffany mocked Charlotte in a way that felt personal, not rehearsed, almost like she was saying what a lot of fans were already thinking. You could see Charlotte's reaction instantly shift. That wasn't acting. The Queen looked legitimately annoyed, and the tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Backstage reports later hinted that Charlotte wasn't thrilled with the unscripted shot, but in front of the cameras, WWE had no choice but to roll with it. And honestly, it worked. Fans online buzzed about Tiffany having the guts to throw shade at Charlotte, and suddenly the rookie had carved out a reputation as someone who could hang with the veterans on live TV. In the end, WWE leaned into the drama because, let's face it, nothing sells like a feud that doesn't only feel real, but is real. Whether it was Becky throwing shade or Tiffany refusing to back down, Charlotte's clashes reminded fans that sometimes the best storylines aren't written by creative, they're written by grudges. Cody Rhodes goes off script after WrestleMania 40. Back in 2024, WrestleMania 40 was the night Cody Rhodes finally finished his story. After a year of build-up, emotional promos, and near misses, he finally beat Roman Reigns to become the undisputed champion. It was the perfect ending, until Cody grabbed a mic the next night on Raw and went a little off script. With the crowd chanting his name, Cody went on a passionate, fiery rant that reportedly strayed way off what WWE creative had planned. He referenced his journey, his frustrations with management, and even dropped a cheeky nod to his time in AEW, something WWE normally avoids like the plague. Fans loved it, but backstage, production reportedly scrambled to cut his rant short. In the ring, Cody looked like a man who wasn't reading bullet points. He was speaking from the heart. And that authenticity made fans rally behind him even more. In the end, WWE leaned into it, because Cody's passion only made his reign feel bigger. But for a moment, the American Nightmare went rogue, proving once again that when wrestlers take control of their own stories, magic happens. Ria Ripley breaking character during injury. Ria Ripley has built her reputation on being one of WWE's toughest, most intimidating forces. But in 2024, fans got a rare glimpse of the human side behind Mommy, when an injury forced her to break character in front of a live crowd. During a heated segment on Raw, Ria took an awkward bump and immediately knew something was wrong. Normally, a performer would grit their teeth and push through, but the pain was too real to mask. She dropped the villainous scowl and signaled to officials that she couldn't continue. The crowd, expecting her usual dominance, suddenly saw Ripley wincing, vulnerable, and clearly in distress. What made it so striking was the contrast. This wasn't the unstoppable Judgment Day leader. This was Demi Bennett, the person behind the character, fighting to hold it together in front of thousands. It completely shattered the illusion of control that WWE tries to maintain, but it also earned Rhea massive respect. Fans rallied behind her, chanting support as she left the ring. For a woman who had spent years terrifying opponents, it was a rare reminder that even the most powerful superstars aren't invincible. Going off script in that moment wasn't about rebellion, it was about survival. And ironically, it only added to her legend. Batista's deal with it walkout. When Batista returned to WWE in 2014, the company clearly wanted him to be the conquering hero again. They hyped his comeback, pushed him straight into the main event, and even had him win the Royal Rumble. On paper, it was supposed to be a feel-good story, but in reality, fans absolutely hated it. The crowd hijacked every Batista appearance with chants for Daniel Bryan, and instead of cheers, the animal was showered in boos. You could see the frustration boiling over. And then came the night where Batista finally snapped. Mid-promo, fed up with the negativity, he dropped his tough guy act, looked straight into the hard cam, and barked at the fans to deal with it. It wasn't scripted bravado, it was Dave Bautista, the man, lashing out at an audience that refused to accept him as the top babyface. From that moment on, WWE had no choice but to turn him heel, because the fans weren't buying the comeback fairy tale. The "deal with it" meltdown became a meme, but it also summed up the disconnect between WWE creative and its audience at the time. Batista thought he was walking into a hero's welcome. Instead, he walked straight into a rebellion, and his own temper helped seal the deal. Brock Lesnar's wardrobe malfunction. Brock Lesnar is known for a lot of things: suplexes, broken streaks, and making opponents look like ragdolls. But in 2025, the Beast incarnate went viral for something nobody expected: a wardrobe malfunction that completely broke his terrifying aura on live TV. During a high-profile segment, Lesnar's gear gave out in the middle of the ring. The cameras tried to cut away, but not before fans caught a glimpse of the mishap. Instead of storming out of the ring in anger, Lesnar actually laughed it off, breaking character in a way fans rarely see. The guy who usually looks like he wants to eat his opponents alive suddenly looked like a regular dude caught in an awkward moment. The audience popped big for it, not because it was part of the script, but because it was the exact opposite of what anyone expected from Brock. For a split second, the Conqueror wasn't a monster. He was just Brock, shrugging and grinning as the crowd ate it up. Of course, WWE quickly moved on and acted like it never happened. But fans didn't forget. Memes spread, clips went viral, and Brock Lesnar, of all people, became the source of unscripted comedy. For a man built on intimidation, that one rogue moment showed just how unpredictable live wrestling can be. Ronda Rousey's backstage shoot interviews. By 2025, Ronda Rousey's relationship with WWE was complicated, to put it lightly. She was a huge mainstream star who brought attention to women's wrestling, but she was also never shy about voicing her frustrations with the company. And when Ronda gets a mic in her hand outside the ring, you never quite know what's coming. In a series of interviews and podcast appearances, Ronda absolutely torched WWE's inner workings. She described the backstage environment as a complete show, called out the writing team for being out of touch, and openly questioned why she should follow a script at all when the fans only cared about authenticity. These weren't playful barbs or subtle digs. This was Ronda going full rogue on the entire system. Fans were divided. Some loved her honesty, saying she was just saying what everyone else was thinking. Others felt she was biting the hand that fed her, airing dirty laundry that WWE would rather keep hidden. But either way, it was the kind of raw, unfiltered honesty you don't usually hear from contracted talent. WWE, of course, brushed it under the rug, never acknowledging her comments on TV. But the damage was done. Once again, Ronda reminded the world that she plays by her own rules, script or no script. John Cena dismissing reporters post-WrestleMania 41. John Cena has always been WWE's company man, the polished face of the brand who handles interviews, press conferences, and fan interactions with perfect professionalism. But at WrestleMania 41, fans saw a different side of him when he went completely off script with the media. After winning a major match on the grandest stage, Cena appeared at the post-show press conference. Reporters lined up, ready with questions about his future and his role in WWE's evolving landscape. Normally, Cena would give his trademark, polite corporate answers, but this time, he wasn't having it. When one reporter pressed him about retirement and part-time status, Cena snapped. He shut down the question abruptly, dismissing it with a tone that was far from the usual hustle, loyalty, and respect persona. The exchange was awkward, unpolished, and very real. You could see the tension in the room as Cena ditched the script and let his true feelings bleed through. For fans, it was surreal. The squeaky clean franchise player had just broken his carefully maintained image in front of the cameras. Some thought it made him more authentic. Others thought it showed cracks in the facade. But everyone agreed it was a rare glimpse at the real John Cena. Even the most polished pros can go rogue when pushed to the wall, and WrestleMania 41 gave us that moment with John Cena. Seth Rollins laughs through a fan attack. In November 2021, Raw gave us one of the most bizarre off-script moments of the decade. Seth Rollins had just finished a segment when, out of nowhere, a fan jumped the barricade and tackled him to the ground. Security scrambled, referees rushed in, and for a split second, it looked like chaos had taken over. Here's the thing though, Rollins handled it like a pro. Instead of panicking, he quickly locked the guy down and let security do their job. But as he walked up the ramp, still in character as the deranged visionary, Seth couldn't help himself. He cracked a grin. He laughed at the absurdity of it all, live on camera like even he knew how ridiculous the situation was. Fans at home were stunned. For years, WWE had been careful about maintaining the illusion of control, and here was Rollins literally fending off a rogue fan mid-broadcast. The footage spread everywhere, becoming one of those rare, you-had-to-see-it-live moments that perfectly captured the unpredictability of wrestling. In the end, Seth turned what could have been a disaster into comedy gold. By laughing it off, he reminded everyone that sometimes the best unscripted moments are the ones nobody could ever plan for. From unscripted rants to wild walkouts, these moments prove WWE superstars don't always stick to the script, they write their own. Which of these off-script moments shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from the world of wrestling. If you like this video, YouTube thinks you'll like these too.